Not too long ago, I made a video about my Bluetti AC500 and 3 B300K batteries, which I'll put a link to that video at the end, and also I'll link it in the description below. But as you can see, the AC500 is gone, and in its place is the new Apex 300. I used the Bluetti trade-in program to send back my AC500, got a credit from Bluetti to put towards the purchase of the Apex 300, and that's what got me this. Why did I buy the Apex 300 and replace the AC500? Two reasons. One, the most power draw I saw with the AC500 was 3.5 kilowatts, so under 4,000 watts. The Apex 300 can do 3,840 watts. Granted, when running 240 volts, you don't actually get that. You only get 1,920 watts out of each leg of the 240 volts. So only about 16 amps versus a full 50 amps total. But the Apex 300 has several advantages. One advantage, of course, is that it has a built-in battery. The battery capacity of 2,764.8 watt hours is the same as the 3 Bluetti B300K batteries. So combined now, I have 4 batteries with a combined capacity of roughly 11 kilowatt hours. Obviously, I'm not going to get a full 11 kilowatt hours in actual use, but definitely has enough power to keep all my critical circuits running. The other big thing that is an advantage of the Apex 300 is this little switch right here. The Apex 300, when you throw that switch to 240 volts, you get 240 volt split phase. And the way that works is you've got your 50 amp plug, which again is 240 volts, so 120 volts per leg, but you're not actually getting a full 50 amps. You're only getting 32 amps, about 16 amps per leg, or as stated here, 1,920 watts. But that is enough with split phase to run my critical circuits. As you can see, the way I've got my sub panel laid out, I have my high current draw items split between leg 1 and leg 2. So my furnace fan, which also runs when the air conditioner is on, and the sump pump are on different legs. So they can both be running at the same time and not overpower my 1,920 watts, especially since each of those draws 800 to 1,000 watts, as I saw with the AC500. And then of course I've got my lights and outlets and everything split between the 2 legs. So the way I've got everything hooked up, I'm just using the included with the battery P090 battery cable connectors. And then the other thing I have done, and if you watched the AC500 video, you'll see that I have 2 different solar arrays. They're small, coming in from outside. On array number 1, I have 3 200 watt Bouge RV bifacial panels. They're 24 volt instead of the 12 volt panels. And then on line 2, I have my Renogy 400 watt solar suitcase that I can hook up. It's not always hooked up, but outside I can if I want to, which today it actually is. And so I've got both line 1 and line 2, PV1 and PV2, coming into the 2 ports, the 2 solar input ports on the Apex 300. Looking at the solar inputs, you've got PV1 and PV2. All it is an XT60 connector, and I've got some 12 gauge wire going up to the MC4 connectors, which I actually made these myself. At the time, Bluetti did not have theirs available for sale, but having all my radio control cars and boats, I already had XT60 connectors and also had this really fine stranded 12 gauge wire that I basically just soldered on to my XT60s and then crimped on the MC4 connectors, and I was in business. The one thing I had to change when I connected my Bouge RV panels, again there's 3 of them for a total of 600 watts. In series they were over 60 volts, and the Apex 300 only allows up to 60 volts input and 20 amps max input as well. So had to wire them in parallel in order to utilize the 3 panels. And the Renogy solar suitcase panel, that's under 60 volts and under 20 amps already. So when I bought the AC500, I bought the home integration kit. The home integration kit came with the sub panel box and the 50 amp outlet. So it came with, of course, a 50 amp plug to charge the AC500, which unfortunately does not work with the Apex 300. I had to purchase the charging cable separately because of the unique proprietary plug that is on the side of the Apex 300. The other thing that the home integration kit came with was a 50 amp cable to plug in the AC500 into the sub panel. Now, when I plugged in the cable that I had from the AC500 into the Apex 300, I was only getting one leg. Investigating it further, only one leg of the 2 was powered, meaning either there isn't a 4th wire inside this cable or it just was never connected. So I ended up having to go out and buy another cable, and this is nothing more than a 50 amp RV plug. It's 15 feet, which is why it's all coiled up here, but it is a true 240 volt cable. There's 120 volts on each leg, so it's got all 4 wires in it, and it plugs right in to the side of the Apex 300, and then obviously has the correct connection going into the sub panel. So with the Apex 300, I went into the app and reset up the working mode. So instead of standard UPS, I've got it set up for time of use, and then I scheduled it to a certain time and then run off battery power the rest of the time. So you can see here in the app how I've got that set up. And then also in the app, as you'll see as I'm scrolling through all the different settings, you can see the solar input on each leg. You can see the AC draw on each leg. You can see the AC input on each leg. And you can see how I've got everything else set up.